Welcome to Marriage and Family Overview, the Gladding Text, Family Therapy, History, Theory, and Practice. Chapter 3, Rationale and History of Family Therapy. The practice of family therapy, dating back only a few decades, is still a fairly new work, with theoretical and clinical beginnings being hammered out in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. Real growth is a legitimate form of therapy, 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the millennium. Concentrating on making changes in total life systems, individual group counseling focus on select intrapersonal and interpersonal changes. Looking at form, comparison, composition, and structure of the American family, shifting away from a primarily nuclear event to more complex and varied unit, single parents, remarried families, dual career families. The rationale for family therapy. Conducting family therapy is the belief that most life difficulties arise can be best addressed within families, who are a powerful force working for either good or detriment of their members, because an interconnectedness exists among the members, and the action of the members affect health and dysfunctionality of each member as well as the family cycle as a whole. It's proven effectiveness as landmarked by the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy, 1995, with a meta-analysis of family treatment. Reasons for working with families as opposed to working with individuals. Because of causation, circular causation versus linear work. To have a more complex overview instead of a simplistic approach, involving other real significant individuals in part of the process and determining the family of origin and patterns and themes, communication patterns. All members are given the same message simultaneously, challenged to work on the same issues together. It usually takes less time than individual counseling, and it's utilized in work with families focusing on interpersonal versus primarily intrapersonal relationships. Family therapy over the decade, elders used to give younger members of the family, clans, and tribes advice on interpersonal relationship. Adult members of social units took care of the very young, the very old. Family therapy before 1940, there was an inhibitor to the development of family therapy, much more of an individualistic approach. Historically going to clergy, lawyers, doctors, family members for help, and a lack of theoretical emphasis of the time. Catalysts for the growth of family therapy are women enrolled in colleges demanding courses in family life education, an initial establishment of premarital and marital counseling, the founding of the National Council of Family Relationships in 1938, the establishment of the Journal Marriage and Family Living in 1939, looking at family patterns. And the fourth favorable event is the county home extension agencies through 4-H that in some ways started off as a family system similar to DFACS to help families who are in trouble. 1940 to 1949, the American Association for Marriage and Family Counselors, formed in 1942 by Ernest Grove, Bella Mittelman from the New York Psychoanalytical Institute, the importance of object relationships and couple relationships, Schism, with Litz from 1940, the division of family into antagonistic competing groups, Skew, one partner of the marriage dominating the family to a striking degree, causing serious personality disorders in one of the partners, the return of World War II, PTSD vets coming back with children having problems. 1950 to 59, the development of family and therapy more centered around organizations in the community. In the 1950s, Nathan Ackerman, one of the founding fathers from 1938 to the 50s, working with families looking at the etiology of mental illness and how to treat mental illnesses among families. Gregory Bateson, with dysfunctional communication patterns, calling the double bind syndrome, that you're damned if you do, damned if you don't, that you're being told one thing but responded to in a different way. creating confusion among the ranks. MRI, brief therapy, an elaboration of the work of Milton Erickson, the hypnotist. Jay Haley with strategic family therapy. Carl Whitaker with dual therapy or conjoint couple therapy here in Atlanta with Gus Napier. Looking at Murray Bowen with transgenerational treatment, 1960s to 69. Also Virginia Satir, John Bell, contributing to the field. Salvador Minuchin with structural, Jay Haley with strategic. Haley might have been one of the more important figures in the 60s. Haley edited Family Process, joined the Palo Alto group, and then moved to Philadelphia to join the Child Guidance Clinic, which was under the direction at that time of Salvador Minuchin, kind of formulating structural dash strategic therapy. Virginia Satir in Chicago with her book Conjoint Family Therapy. Carl Whitaker, who was very much, did not follow any conventional patterns in family treatment. Continuing into the 60s, family group therapy with John Bell, a structured program of treatment that conceptualized family members as strangers and became known to each other through stages. Murray Bowen with the undifferentiated family ego mass, where they were too enmeshed and could not separate from each other or too detached. The process of triangulation, drawing a third person into the couple's fray or the conjoint fray as a scapegoat. Systems theory, with a system as a set of elements standing in interaction with one another, viewing the family in that manner, focusing away from linear causality to circular causality, interacting loops and repeating cycles. Institute and training centers, the Philadelphia Child Guidance, the Mental Research Institute in Palo Alto, culminating sort of with Don Jackson's death, the family studies in Milan in 1967. Family therapy 1970 to 79, the AAMFT and membership and trying to set up goals for credentialing of licensed marriage and family therapies with William C. Nichols, the first editor of the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy, the establishment of the American Family Therapy Association as a think tank, refinement of family therapy theories, getting these theories contextualized into books and formulated. Looking at foreign therapy and therapists, much of this is going to center around Milan theory, Palazzoli, Chichen, Boscolo, the circular questioning, asking questions to highlight differences among families, triadic questioning, asking a third member how the two other members of the family relate. Mystification, coined by Lang and Skinner, how families mask what's going on within the family, growth of family and marriage enrichment, the marriage encounter movie, group theory, family therapy from a feminist theory perspective, an attitude, lens, a body of ideas about gender hierarchy, the impact rather than a specific model of therapy, and a grab bag of clinical results. Looking at gender-based, looking at page 72, non-sexist counseling versus empowerment feminist gender-aware counseling is on that table. Looking at Rachel Hare Mustin, family therapy from 1980 to 89. Changes in family therapy leadership, an increase in research, growth in numbers of individuals and associations devoted to family therapy, the retirement or death of some of the leaders of the movement, switching emphasis as Jay Haley did to a somewhat different factor from a Walsh, Betty Carter, looking at feminist perspectives as well, the American Psychological Association in 1984, embracing marriage and family, the International Association of Marriage and Family Counselors, the American Counseling Association, the ACA in 1986, all of these groups coming together to solidify development of research techniques and family therapy. Going to the Journal of Family Issues, publications, the Family Therapy Networker, national recognition with grants and training for MFTs, 1990 to the present. New theories, the reflecting team approach by Tom Anderson, therapeutic conversations model with Harleen Anderson and Harry Gulishan, the improvisational therapy model, psychoeducational model, interpaternal family systems model, coming off of older theories but bringing a newer, more millennial approach. Social constructivism, meeting your clients where they are, culturally, contextually, environmentally. Basic Family Therapy Skills Project, established in 1987 to focus on determining, defining, and testing skills essential for beginning family therapists to master effective therapy processes, looking at testing. New epistemology, ideas that the cybernetic approach is incorporated into the truest sense of family therapy to second order cybernetics, the cybernetics of cybernetics, the impact of the family therapist's inclusion and participate in family systems, is extending beyond homeostatic adaptive properties of family systems in general, going on to ontology, a view of the world that stresses circularity and autonomy of systems in contrast to linear causality, redirecting family therapy or education to focus on training practitioners who know how to work with special types of families, specialization. The most professional associations, the AMFT is probably the largest, and looking at the Federal Register of Marriage and Family Therapists, looking at the COAMFT, the Commission for Accreditation for Marriage and Family Therapy Education for university and training programs. So looking at a conclusion, how the growth has happened and how fast it's happened for this process. 78, there's a rationale summary table, rationale of history, and going through the decades, giving you an overview of all of these things up through page 81. So that concludes chapter 3 with the history.